All right, hello game design students. I am back here with another video in the How to Make a 2D Platformer game series. Today we're going to talk about adding an enemy to your game. So if I go back to my game here in the previous video, we set up some events that created some animations. So our idle animation is here when our guy's not moving. I can move to the right and left and he'll walk. I can jump and he'll jump and fall. And then when I hit the ground, it resets to this nice idle animation. And I can jump through my whole level here. Pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of need to work on this level design because I can't jump super high right now. But I can still get here all the way to the end. But you'll see, there's really no way to lose the game, and there's really no way to win either. You can fall all the way down. Nothing really happens. Okay, so we want to add in some sort of obstacle. In this case, it's going to be an enemy to make our game just a little more interesting. Okay, you don't want your game to be too easy, but you also don't want it to be too hard. So we're going to add in an enemy, which should be pretty cool. Okay, so hopefully now you're familiar with the process of adding sprites and animations. Remember, should be pretty straightforward, but we're going to do it here. We're going to unlock the player layer, okay, because these guys are going to be on the same layer as our player. I'm going to double click to add in a new object. I'm going to choose sprite, and I'm just going to add in my first one. I'll probably add it on this same line as my player character. I'm going to go ahead and open. I'm going to go to PNG, and in this case, I'm going to do enemies. Okay, and the enemy I'm going to do is just the enemy walking. And I'm only going to do these 2 frames, I think. Just enemy walking 1 and 2. In the tutorial, it might ask you to do more. No, it just wants 1 and 2, which is cool. Okay, and I'm just as my, sorry, the same as my player character. I want to rename this animation to walk, and I want to loop it, and I want to ping pong it. Okay, so I can preview. And it's a very simplistic animation. It just moves very quickly. But you can see there, that's what it looks like when it is animated. Okay. I want to quick assign my origin point to the bottom. And I also want to apply that to all animations. If you're not on the origin point menu like I am by default, you just go ahead and click down here. We just edit the image points by clicking that. And there you go. That's your origin point. And you want to put it at the bottom. And you'll notice because I did that, it's right at the bottom middle of both of my animation frames. I can go ahead and exit this here, and you'll see my little dude shows up right there. Okay, and it asks us to put it on the ground, so I might as well just click and drag it down so it's right on the ground, which is fine. You don't have to. You could have it up there. It'll just fall because we're going to apply some behaviors to it. Now, we want to implement the following logic. If the player runs into the enemy from the side, they flash and get hurt. If the player jumps on top of the enemy is killed. To make the player flash, we need to select the player anim object and add the flash behavior. Remember, we want to select the actual player anim and not the player box object. Okay, so I have called it my player sprite and my player box. So make sure you've selected your player sprite, and we're going to add an actual behavior. And because on our sprite we haven't actually added any behaviors, it's going to be our first one. And in this case, it's going to be flash, which is right here. Okay, and this makes an object temporarily flash, alternately becoming visible and invisible. So we're going to add that flash behavior, and we're going to continue on here. We want to switch to the event sheet and add a new event. So go to our event sheet. We can actually close that here. And we want to add a new event, and I believe in this case it is when our player sprite, or our player box, sorry, that's on me, go back. When our player box is on a collision with our sprite, which I need to rename. Ooh, big thing there. Make sure to rename this sprite to enemy. Okay, I'm going to call it enemy 1 because we might add in other types of enemies too. So when our player box collides with enemy 1, what do we want to happen? Well, let's take a look right here. Okay. I guess actually it doesn't want us to put in the actual event yet. We're going to put in some sub-events. So we're going to add a sub-event to the collision. Now here's how you do that. You can create sub-events by right-clicking the event you want at top level and select Add Sub-Event in the right-click menu. Note you must right-click in the margin to the left of the event block and not on the condition already inside the event block. You can alternatively press S or B when the top level is selected. S will open the Add Condition dialog and allow you to directly select the condition of your choice to add. B will create a new blank sub-event you can add conditions or actions to. So I believe what it wants us to do is click over here, and we want to add a sub-event. Okay, and in this case, our sub event is our player box, and is it falling? So player box, and is falling, I believe, is under platform right here. So if our player box is falling, what do we want to happen? Okay, actually, once again, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We want to add another sub-event, which in this case is going to be player box, compare y less than enemy y. Now, what does that mean? It's going to take our player box and it's going to compare its height or its y value to the enemy's y value. And if our player box y value is less than the enemy's, then that means we're not jumping on the top of it. It means we're side to side with the enemy, right? I'm going to set this up. I'm going to show it to you so you can see what it means, right? So we need to add another sub-event, and if player box, and this time we want to, I'm just going to search it to make it faster, compare y. So find compare y, and if it is less than enemy 1.y. Okay. This is exactly what we want here. So take a second, pause the video if you need to. If it is less than the enemy 1y. So we now have our program checking for two things. When our player box touches our enemy, it wants to check if number one, is it falling? And number two, is its y value less than or greater than the enemy's? Okay. Awesome. Now, in this event, we want to add the action destroy. Okay. So, if our platform is falling, we want to destroy the enemy. Okay. Actually, maybe I did this wrong here, did I? That's what I need to do. These need to be part of the same sub-event. Okay. So let's test this out. My enemy is going to be right here if it wants to load today. Ooh. Okay. So I should be able to jump and destroy my enemy. Okay. Perfect. It worked. We can also make the player bounce off of it by adding another action. So we're going to go player box, set vector y, negative 550. That's just going to make us bounce. We're going to add action, player box. I'm going to search set vector y, and we're going to set it to negative 550, which is going to make me bounce up, which is kind of just a cool little thing. So let's test it out and see if it works. When I jump on this enemy, I should bounce, and he should disappear. And there you go. Pretty cool little action there, right? Another way you can make that sound cool is to add some sort of sound effect, but we don't need to do that for right now. Okay, cool. Boom, boom, boom. Let's set our vector y. What setting a vector does is it just gives you some sort of a boost in that direction, which is nice. Now, we're not quite done. We want to right-click the margin of the is falling event, the space just to the left of the player box icon, and add else. So we want to add an else. So if it's not falling, we want the player anim to flash. So we're going to add action, player sprite, and then flash. And we just leave those as is, don't touch those. Okay. So now if we run straight into this guy, you see there's a flash, which in the case of a game like this means our guy is taking some sort of damage. Now right now there is nothing to track that damage, but every time I touch this guy, I flash and die. Now watch, I can just jump on his head, bang, and I win. But you can see how this is kind of coming together. So I'm going to open up this so you can see this event right here that we added. It's kind of complicated, but it's right here. Pause the video if you need to check all of this. But that is how we are dealing with the collision with our enemy. Okay. Made him flash. Again, it's in the tutorial here, which is cool. So like it says here, the player will never die, they'll just flash, but we've got the detection set up, and so we could add in a health bar, or we could just make it die right after it flashes, potentially, and that's up to you, okay, however you want to set up your game. All right, so the video got kind of long, so I'm just cutting it here, and it'll be 2 different parts of a video. So if you have finished this one up, then just continue on to the next one, and you should be able to continue on your project. Bye.